Hey everyone, it's Zach with Palantir Research. Palantir will not be added to the Standard & Poor's Index this quarter, which is going to be the culmination of this week's Friday and all that news that people were trying to anticipate for, as well as new deal, short interest, and more news to cover. So looking at the stock first, Palantir closed up around 8% for the week still, but do note with the news of them not making it into the S&P this round, the stock fell in after hours a few percentage points there. So just more noise in my opinion, but we'll continue to monitor how this opens up during official trading hours next Monday. So starting with the news now, Palantir supports the ONCD's report recommendation all around setting up the critical framework of cybersecurity policy in the country. Now, essentially, the government laid out how those who are working in the cybersecurity space, especially working with the government, can help contribute to U.S. national security. Shyam Sankar had his statements also featured on the government site here, essentially supporting the engineering-first approach and making sure all software innovators are doing their part in ensuring the defense against cyber threats to United States national security. And it's always great to build up the company's resume, having their opinions matter, and reference in such important policy recommendations. Then Palantir released their 13G on their ownership on the Surf Air Mobility Corporation. They are publicly traded actually and flew up over 56% on the news apparently, since I didn't find any other relevant news stories that day. It did die back down though over the next couple of days and has returned back to that $1 price point essentially, so nothing really long-standing as of yet. But Palantir owns 7.1% of the company and just received 1.85 million shares for fulfilling payments on outstanding receivables. So it's not a capital investment per se provided by Palantir or hugely so, but getting paid in shares. So it's a very small market cap too company that is trying to tackle electric planes. Obviously a small and speculative play if you go through their financials. So I would not give my opinion on this as an investment, but if you're into speculating or using a small amount of money, it's something out there and available of course, but still cool that they're working with Palantir and this new technology and that they can actually contribute to their success. It'd be a sight to see, honestly, but I'll let you be the judge of viability of an electric-powered plane. There's, of course, the engineering part, but getting folks to actually trust it and have the business run and have it massively adopted is another. Or maybe it'll be a niche company in the future that can survive. Who knows? Then next, we got an X post by Palantir wanting to showcase their results with Airbus. This was actually from last week with the FII priority event here, where even Karp spoke too. But this is one of Palantir's executive vice presidents, Josh Harris, where he did a whole speaking segment for only a few minutes, but they highlighted how 40% of Airbus's 340,000 employees are using Palantir's AI tooling. There was an original post actually by them with the quotations, but they made sure to repost it without the quote since he didn't exactly say Palantir's AI tooling, but we know it's in reference to that. So the bigger point of this is that Palantir is showcasing how valuable their products are, where you can start out small, but gain adoption throughout an organization, which is typically tough for a lot of vendors. You may get a new analytics tool, but to be so widespread at a place so large as Airbus, from engineers to analysts to finance to HR to accounting, who knows, it shows how Palantir is striving to be the operating system of an organization instead of just another tool. So we hope to see more client information like this in the future. Then we get new short interest data for Palantir, which is as of February 15th. So it's inclusive of the upwards price movement seen right after earnings. Short interest went down over 10%, with an overall short interest at about 5.5% right now. So it seems there is a level of shorts covering or less short positions being opened net of trading. So I don't think this is extreme by any stretch of the imagination, but rather more just interesting to point out. So we'll continue to monitor every half month while maintaining this above $20 range into March. I'm curious to know how this will turn out on the next reading and if we have further decline in short interest or maybe an uptick. Just gotta wait for the data. Then we got a new Bloomberg article here covering the military work that Palantir has contributed to in reference to Project Maven. So it's always great to see them pop up, and they are pointed out as the fusion that is tying all this together, even though there are a few other big tech names mentioned alongside them. Now, the focus wasn't on Palantir like other articles from before, but still just the work of AI in general and the military. So feel free to check it out on Bloomberg's website for the article. I think the bigger point, which I pointed out in my daily video, is that the Palantir continues to pop up and slowly makes its way more and more onto the mainstream recognition. So it's by no means is this hugely understood widespread as a company by the greater average public, of course, but for people who read Bloomberg, like executives or possible decision makers, can come across this here, and it's just more opportunities for so. So more to watch out for these cool articles. Then Palantir released a new demo on advanced search. Always great to have Chad go into the walkthroughs of Palantir's products of Titan Industry. The big main point of this presentation is really getting that ontology intertwined to have contextual understanding. With these different PDFs of information, it's one thing for a computer to do a text search, right, and just see the words that are there. But it's another thing to tie multiple PDFs together and figure out where the pieces of the puzzles are in relation to all the other known information. The more minute levels of understanding AI can get on each piece, the more knowledge it can utilize to really truly understand how decisions and search can be affected with context. Note, this video was posted on the Palantir developers YouTube channel and their X account, just in case you go searching for it on their normal Palantir YouTube channel. And I did also touch on this topic too, that Palantir seems to be trying out different posting strategies in timing and where they put it. So who knows, it could be a sign of them optimizing how customers can get funneled into their business with their social media presence. Hopefully that's working. Then we get a new US government contract with the DISA, or the Defense Information Systems Agency, for $9.8 million. This is for the EMBM-J project, or Electromagnetic Battle Management Joint System. As the name implies, the purpose of this project is to manage the processes around joint electromagnetic spectrum operations. The big thing here is that they are building this up, and my video touched on how the importance of this is getting more and more, and Palantir getting the chance to work on these cool early prototypes, which actually does enhance the skill set of their workforce if you think about it, and demonstrates the trust the government has with Palantir working on these kinds of projects at our earlier stage. It is impact level 6, so it speaks volumes to how Palantir can even compete for these and has the right level of security to be a contender for these contracts. It's small now, but who knows if it will become a big project later on, but good on them to win another contract. Now, the big elephant in the room, S&P inclusion, or in this case, not inclusion, and they didn't make it this quarter here. So it's not the end all be all, but as the normal cycle of rebalancing happens, March 1st was the date of the announcement of changes to the S&P index, with March 18 being the actual changes to take place there. But for the principle of it all, the announcement is the actual real event. I'd say, well, not personally for me, but more so just the general excitement from a lot of folks when going through social media. Honestly, I just cared once they hit the eligibility, and now it's just gravy on top once they actually get in. We know having the base of the necessary purchase for institutions that have index fund products will need to put some level of buying and maintaining that percentage there, so there is going to be some upward pressure, or at least some level of holding. I did a video on an exercise with a lot of caveats, but as we got closer and closer to actual induction, or get to, we could get a more accurate picture of what a possible inflow could be. So we'll stick around on the story for the next quarter. It's not a big deal to me, like I said, that they weren't included. What's more important, though, is when they finally do, the business aspect of running and growing, and that's actually happening. And it's no shortfall for Palantir as a business right now, just a decision by the committee to eventually decide when they hit being a top company with enough provenance, per se, to be included in the S&P. So it might be next quarter or even later, who knows. But the video I did cover, breaking the news, divulges my raw thoughts on this. And the S&P inclusion will be more symbolic for the company, but the real benefits, though, still will be the reputational part here that can attract customers and solidify their reputation of not only product-wise, but financial stability to those who don't constantly research this company like ourselves, so they know that they're a reputable vendor. But what are your thoughts on all this information? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.